A single glance at Violet Bridget Girton in black is enough to make your heart skip a beat. Fans have speculated endlessly about a shocking death in Bridgerton Season 4 Part 2, but now all the signs are pointing in one chilling direction. Rumors that were once dismissed as overthinking now carry weight, and with each new teaser and behind-the-scenes glimpse, the tension builds. This is not just another plot twist, it's a turning point that will ripple through every character's life, reshaping relationships, testing loyalties, and leaving viewers reaching for their tissues. From subtle visual cues to Julia Quinn's cryptic warnings, every piece of evidence hints at a story that is both devastating and transformative. Prepare for a journey through heartbreak, love, and the raw human emotions that define the Bridgerton world, because what's coming is not just dramatic, it's unforgettable. The first thing to understand about this upcoming part of Season 4 is the gravity of what's about to unfold. For weeks, fans have scoured every trailer, every promotional image, and every whispered rumor, trying to predict who might face an untimely demise. Early speculation focused on King George, whose health issues have been threaded through the narrative. And for a time, that theory felt solid. After all, his frailty and the emotional weight carried by Queen Charlotte made his potential death a plausible narrative climax. However, as more material emerged, particularly the haunting teaser for Part 2 and behind-the-scenes photographs of multiple characters clad in black, the story took a sharp turn. These details are not mere wardrobe choices, they are deliberate signals steeped in historical accuracy and narrative foreshadowing. Black clothing, in the context of Regency-era London, is unmistakable. It is mourning, grief, and the shadow of death manifest in fabric. When Violet is seen wearing black, it is not a fashion statement. It is an unmistakable marker that someone close to the family will die, and that the event will be central enough to unite multiple storylines in profound ways. The psychological impact of this development on the audience cannot be overstated. Viewers are now primed to anticipate tragedy, and every interaction in Part 2 carries a heightened sense of suspense. This is a carefully calibrated tension, where even seemingly mundane moments are layered with potential foreshadowing. Julia Quinn's public statements only amplify this feeling. Her warning that viewers should have tissues ready is not casual advice. It is a deliberate signal that the emotional stakes will be exceptionally high. She described a scene that is simultaneously joyful and heartbreakingly sad, which immediately raises questions. Whose joy is being overshadowed by grief? The duality of emotion she describes perfectly aligns with the series' approach to storytelling, where love, ambition, and family obligations are frequently intertwined with loss and sacrifice. This is not melodrama for the sake of spectacle. It is carefully structured narrative tension designed to elicit a complex emotional response from the audience. Understanding which death is most likely requires connecting multiple narrative dots from both the show and the source material. While King George remains a candidate, there is stronger evidence pointing toward John Sterling, a character whose demise in the books is pivotal. His death triggers a profound transformation in Francesca Bridget Girton's arc, affecting her emotional growth, relationships, and eventual storyline trajectory. From a storytelling perspective, choosing John as the character to die in Part 2 is logical. It creates an immediate emotional impact while setting up future seasons, particularly Season 5, which is expected to explore Francesca's journey of grief, resilience, and love. The narrative machinery of Bridgerton relies on carefully planned consequences, and the death of a central character like John would provide that narrative propulsion, ensuring continuity and heightened emotional stakes for upcoming storylines. But why does this theory resonate so strongly with fans now, beyond the obvious visual cues? It's because the showrunners have subtly built anticipation through layered storytelling. In early episodes of Season 4, Queen Charlotte's conversations with Lady Danbury hinted at fear, loss, and the fragility of life. Her tearful acknowledgement of the potential death of King George, coupled with her reliance on Lady Danbury, serves as a narrative foreshadowing device, reinforcing the theme of mortality while subtly preparing viewers for a significant emotional blow. These narrative breadcrumbs are classic storytelling techniques designed to make the eventual tragedy feel earned rather than sudden. For viewers familiar with the books, these moments also create a sense of suspenseful inevitability. The emotional beats are carefully staged. Tension builds gradually, clues accumulate, and the audience is drawn into an anticipatory state where the shock, when it arrives, is both devastating and narratively satisfying. What sets this death apart from typical plot twists is its anticipated dual impact on the story. The character's passing will not only affect Francesca, but also reverberate across the entire Bridgerton family and social circle. Relationships will be tested, loyalties examined, and underlying tensions brought to the surface. Each character's response to the tragedy will reveal layers of personality, morality, and emotional depth, providing a rich tapestry of human behavior under pressure. This is where Bridgerton excels. The series does not depict loss in isolation. Grief is communal, shared among interconnected characters whose lives are intricately woven together, and every choice in these narrative arcs has a cascading effect. Fans watching Part 2 will not simply witness a death, they will experience the ripple effects through multiple storylines, making the tragedy feel expansive and deeply resonant. As the narrative tension escalates in Part 2, the focus shifts from speculation to emotional resonance, and this is where the genius of Bridgerton's storytelling becomes evident. The audience is no longer merely anticipating a death, they are psychologically bracing for the impact on characters they have invested in deeply. Each interaction, every glance, and every unspoken moment between characters is now charged with heightened significance. Violet Bridget Girton in Black is only the tip of the iceberg. Behind her stoic expression lies a storm of grief and the anticipation of loss. In Regency-era society, outward appearances were meticulously maintained, yet clothing and demeanor often reflected internal states. Black attire was a public acknowledgement of private sorrow, a visible emblem of mourning, and in the context of Part 2, it signals that the impending event will not be a minor subplot, but a defining emotional pivot. This is storytelling designed to envelop the audience fully, compelling them to feel alongside the characters rather than simply observe. And one of the most compelling aspects of this section of the season is the interplay between joy and grief, a duality that Julia Quinn herself highlighted. The upcoming death will occur against a backdrop of celebration or intimate connection, heightening the emotional contrast and making the loss feel sharper and more poignant. Bridgerton has always excelled at these contrasts, whether through lavish balls, romantic interludes, or intimate family conversations. The show understands that grief is most affecting when it interrupts moments of happiness, mirroring the unpredictability of real life. This deliberate narrative choice ensures that viewers are not simply experiencing a scripted tragedy, they are experiencing the emotional shockwaves that ripple through every interaction, relationship, and personal journey. The death is not just an event, it is a catalyst that transforms the narrative landscape. Analyzing the likely candidates, John Sterling emerges as the character whose demise would carry the most narrative weight. His death, as established in the source material, is not merely a plot device, but a turning point that irrevocably changes Francesca Bridget Girton's arc. From a storytelling perspective, this choice is elegant and deliberate. It fulfills multiple narrative objectives simultaneously. Francesca is positioned to become the emotional and narrative center in the aftermath, allowing the series to explore themes of grief, resilience, and emotional growth with depth and authenticity. Furthermore, John's death will reverberate beyond Francesca, affecting the broader Bridgerton family dynamics and social interactions. Sibling bonds, parental relationships, and romantic entanglements will all be tested, providing fertile ground for complex character development. The tragedy will not occur in isolation. It will be a lens through which multiple narratives converge, ensuring that Part 2 resonates on both an intimate and structural level. Another element to consider is how the show uses foreshadowing and subtle narrative cues to prepare the audience emotionally. Early episodes have already planted seeds through character dialogue and small, seemingly innocuous moments. Queen Charlotte's emotional vulnerability, her fear of losing King George, and her reliance on Lady Danbury all serve as narrative primers. These moments subtly condition the audience to accept the reality of loss and grief as part of the unfolding story. Similarly, behind-the-scenes photos and the teasers featuring multiple characters in mourning attire are deliberate storytelling signals. They are breadcrumbs leading the audience toward an inevitable confrontation with death, yet they maintain suspense by revealing just enough to spark speculation without confirming outcomes. The effectiveness of this technique lies in its ability to create an emotional undercurrent, a simmering tension that keeps viewers fully engaged and invested in each scene, dialogue, and interaction. The anticipated emotional journey in Part 2 is also intricately tied to character relationships and their development arcs. Francesca's grief, for example, will not occur in a vacuum. It will intersect with the reactions of her siblings, friends, and extended family, showcasing the ripple effect of loss in a tightly knit social network. Every conversation, every glance, and every interaction becomes imbued with layered meaning. Observing how characters process grief differently, through stoicism, emotional expression, or private contemplation, adds complexity and realism to the storytelling. This is where Bridgerton excels. The series does not depict grief as a singular, monolithic experience, but as a multifaceted human reaction, shaped by personality, societal expectations, and personal history. The audience is invited to witness not only the emotional fallout of a death, but also the intricate web of human behavior that surrounds it, deepening empathy and investment in the characters' journeys. Moreover, the duality of emotion emphasized by Julia Quinn, the coexistence of joy and heartbreak, is central to the narrative structure of Part 2. This duality enhances suspense by keeping the audience off balance, never allowing them to settle into a single emotional rhythm. A moment of celebration, a tender interaction, or a seemingly lighthearted exchange may be immediately juxtaposed with grief, loss, or the foreboding presence of tragedy. This interplay mirrors the unpredictability of life and enhances the realism of the series. It also strengthens the impact of the central death, ensuring that it is not only narratively significant, but emotionally unforgettable. The audience is positioned to experience a spectrum of emotions simultaneously, deepening engagement and reinforcing the story's resonance. As Part 2 unfolds, viewers will also witness the careful choreography of grief and narrative pacing. The timing of emotional beats is critical. Moments of tension, suspense, and revelation are interspersed with intervals that allow the audience to absorb and process the developing tragedy. This deliberate pacing ensures that the central death has maximum impact, both in terms of storytelling and emotional resonance. Characters' internal struggles, reactions, and coping mechanisms are given space to unfold, creating a rich tapestry of emotional and psychological depth. From Francesca's personal journey to the broader family and societal repercussions, the narrative is designed to evoke empathy, reflection, and anticipation, making Part 2 a masterclass in suspenseful drama and emotional storytelling. As the story of Part 2 begins to unfold, the emotional gravity of the upcoming events becomes impossible to ignore. The show has carefully built layers of tension throughout Season 4, and now, with the impending death looming, every scene carries a sense of urgency and poignancy. The genius of Bridgerton lies in its ability to intertwine individual character arcs with the broader social and familial dynamics of Regency London, making every personal tragedy resonate across multiple storylines. When a character dies, it is not simply a plot device. It is a seismic event that shifts relationships, tests loyalties, and exposes the depths of human emotion. This section of the season promises to be a masterclass in exploring grief from multiple perspectives, showing the audience not just the immediate impact, but the reverberations that ripple through family, friends, and social circles. Francesca Bridgerton, in particular, stands at the epicenter of this emotional storm. Her connection to John Sterling, the character most likely to face death in Part 2, is deeply personal and profoundly affecting. The narrative carefully establishes their relationship as one of genuine affection and intertwined destinies, so that when tragedy strikes, the audience experiences the loss alongside her. This is more than a romantic subplot. It is a transformative moment that redefines her character. Francesca's journey through grief will be portrayed with a focus on authenticity, showing her struggle to reconcile the loss with her ongoing responsibilities, societal expectations, and her own emotional resilience. The audience will witness the stages of mourning, shock, denial, sorrow, and eventual acceptance, unfolding in a way that feels organic, heartfelt, and deeply immersive. The show also amplifies tension by exploring the different ways characters cope with grief. Violet Bridget Girton, for instance, embodies stoic composure, her outward restraint masking the intense inner turmoil she experiences upon confronting death within her family. This contrast between internal and external expression adds narrative depth, highlighting the complexities of human emotion and the varied ways people process loss. Meanwhile, other characters will display grief through visible displays of emotion, dramatic confrontations, or subtle gestures of sorrow, creating a layered depiction of mourning that keeps viewers emotionally engaged. The interplay between characters' responses also serves as a narrative device, emphasizing the interconnectedness of the Bridgerton family and social circle. In Bridgerton, death is never isolated. It reverberates, reshaping interactions, relationships, and future storylines. The impending death also raises questions of narrative timing and suspense. Bridgerton carefully manipulates audience expectations, using foreshadowing, subtle clues, and layered dialogue to heighten anticipation without prematurely revealing outcomes. Queen Charlotte's emotional vulnerability, previously highlighted through her fear of losing King George, serves a dual purpose. It prepares viewers for tragedy, while also layering tension by creating uncertainty around which character is truly at risk. The teaser trailers, showing multiple characters in black, complement this narrative strategy by providing visual confirmation of mourning while withholding specific details. This combination of foreshadowing and suspense ensures that when the shocking death occurs, it lands with maximum emotional impact, satisfying the audience's anticipation while maintaining narrative cohesion. Another critical aspect of this section is the exploration of how loss affects social dynamics within Regency society. In a world governed by strict codes of behavior, mourning and grief are not just personal experiences, they are social performances. The way characters navigate their sorrow publicly while managing private emotional turmoil adds an additional layer of tension. The Bridgerton family, known for their social influence and prominence, must balance propriety with genuine emotion, creating moments of internal conflict that resonate with the audience. These societal pressures heighten the stakes as characters' responses to grief are scrutinized by friends, allies, and rivals, amplifying the dramatic tension and deepening the narrative complexity. The series' attention to historical and cultural detail enhances realism, making the emotional stakes feel both authentic and urgent. Part 2 also explores the long-term consequences of death on character development. Francesca's anticipated grief is not a fleeting emotional beat. It is a transformative experience that will shape her choices, relationships, and personal growth in subsequent seasons. The series leverages this narrative opportunity to explore themes of resilience, identity, and emotional recovery. Her interactions with surviving characters will be colored by the shadow of loss, prompting difficult decisions, moments of vulnerability, and the gradual rebuilding of trust and hope. By portraying grief as a multifaceted experience with enduring consequences, Bridgerton elevates the story beyond melodrama, crafting an emotionally rich tapestry that engages the audience on multiple levels. Finally, this section of the season reinforces the series' signature ability to blend joy and heartbreak. Even as the audience anticipates the central death, moments of warmth, humor, and love will punctuate the narrative, creating emotional contrast and amplifying the impact of tragedy. This duality ensures that viewers remain fully immersed, emotionally invested, and unable to predict exactly how the story will unfold. It is this careful balance of suspense, character development, and emotional resonance that defines Bridgerton, and Part 2 promises to deliver a deeply affecting and unforgettable experience, leaving viewers both heartbroken and profoundly moved. The stage is set for Francesca, the Bridgertons, and the entire ensemble to navigate the aftermath, leaving audiences eager for what lies ahead, while still reeling from the emotional impact of Part 2. In conclusion, the death anticipated in Part 2 is far more than a plot twist. It is the linchpin of the season's emotional resonance. It challenges the characters, tests their relationships, and transforms the narrative landscape in ways that will echo through subsequent seasons. Every visual cue, every foreshadowed dialogue, and every behind-the-scenes detail points to a carefully orchestrated moment designed to leave viewers both heartbroken and captivated. As Francesca navigates her grief, as the Bridgertons confront their vulnerabilities, And as the social world of Regency London reacts to tragedy, Part 2 promises an unforgettable combination of suspense, emotion, and narrative mastery. Fans will leave this chapter of Bridgerton with hearts heavy yet hopeful, eagerly anticipating the next phase of the series while fully absorbing the profound emotional impact of this pivotal moment.